The parable of the lost son is one of the most famous stories in the Bible. I'm sure you remember it well. It's a story about a man who lost his way, a man who found himself in a distant country, a man who was very far away from the place that he knew he was supposed to be. And it was a long journey back home again. Sometimes we lose our way too. Sometimes we find ourselves in a distant country. We find ourselves far away from where we know we're supposed to be. And we have a long journey to return home. And the hardest step is the first step. That very first step is the hardest step. But the parable of the lost son is incorrectly named. It should be the parable of the lost sons, because there are two lost sons. The older son is stuck outside as well. He hasn't gone to a distant country. He's simply on the back porch, but he can't get inside because of his own righteous anger, his own pride, his own judgmental spirit. Both sons are lost. Both sons have a journey home. And even though the older son has only a few steps to take, it's still a difficult journey because that first step is so hard. This week, I was snippy with one of my staff members at the Holy Name of Jesus Parish Center. I wasn't terribly mean, and I didn't curse or yell or scream. I was just really grouchy for just a moment with one of my staff. And like the younger son, I came to my senses, and I knew I had to return home. Like the older son, her office was only a few steps away from mine. But that first step was so difficult. The first step is always difficult because it requires great humility. It requires the grace to say, I have sinned against you and against God. And so which son do you relate to? Do you find yourself a long way from home? Do you find yourself in a distant country far away from the Father's table? Or do you find yourself on the back porch but still stuck? Either way, this moment here in church can be your first step home. Okay, today is Stewardship Weekend, and so I'm required to tell you about finances. We Jesuits like to call this the Sermon on the Amount. This is my fourth year here at Holy Name of Jesus, and I've lived in a lot of different places as a Jesuit in 34 years, and I've done a lot of different jobs. The job that I ambition for the greatest, the job that I desire the greatest, is to be pastor of Holy Name of Jesus Church. I love it here. I really love being pastor here. You know, I often have trouble sleeping. A lot of people do. Some of you probably have trouble sleeping. But most people have trouble sleeping because they're filled with anxiety or worry. I'm the only guy I know who has trouble sleeping because I'm too happy. Sometimes I find myself in the middle of the night dreaming about what we can do next, and I get all excited and then can't sleep again. When I first got here, I was amazed at the vibrancy of this parish, and just the quality of the sacraments. Not that we celebrate the sacraments, every church does that, but just how well we celebrate the sacraments here at Holy Name. But I was also impressed with the PSR program, the Parish School of Religion program, and with the Vincent de Paul program, and with the Adoration Chapel, and the way that the community came together to celebrate community suppers. But in the years since I've been here, there's been huge growth at Holy Name of Jesus. We now have a women's spirituality group called the Women of Wisdom and a men's spirituality group called Journey. We gather every first Friday of the month for breakfast together. We have a collection of the month for the homeless where we collect ponchos and reading glasses and other important items for the homeless. We have done a deep clean of the Harry Thompson homeless shelter. We've fed the people at Hope House, and we've packed boxes for shut-ins at Catholic Charities. We've had Ignatian spirituality workshops. We've done a modest renovation of the Pastoral Center using private donations. And we've launched quietly, silently, a capital campaign that will go public in January. Perhaps one of the most surprising things that has happened is that we now have what I think may well be the largest Catholic online presence in the state of Louisiana. We have 4,000 subscribers at our YouTube channel. And so the people you see around us are only about half of the people who attend Holy Name. All the rest are inside these little white boxes watching us on YouTube. It's extraordinary. I hear from them all the time. I hear from you all the time. I get emails from Singapore and Canada. I get emails from Poland and New Zealand. And I even hear from the homebound here in New Orleans who can't go to church but are just a few blocks away. And I haven't even talked about, and won't even talk about today, the incredible strides that our school has done just down the way. So it's a time of abundance of Holy Name of Jesus. We're doing extraordinarily well, and that's the good news. Here's the bad news. Father Eddie Gross was the pastor before me, and now me as pastor. The two of us together can attest to the last 10 years or so. The last 10 years, we've actually struggled to make the annual operating budget. The last 10 years, every year, we always either just barely make the annual operating budget or just under. This past year, we had a $33,000 deficit, And this is before the economy went down. And it's before we started all of this new programming, all of which cost a bit of money to get going. Just like you at your own home, our expenses have been raised because of the economy. Our water, our gas, electricity, we predict will be about 6% more. That's true for your grocer too, but your grocer covered his expenses by raising the price of the groceries. But I can't do that because the price of admission to Holy Name of Jesus is 0, and 0 times 2 is still 0. And so I'm asking for 2 things for the people in the pew and 1 thing for the people online. The 2 things I'm asking for the people in the pew is this. Would you consider giving us a meaningful increase to your weekly offertory? I'm not asking for a one-time gift in the collection plate today. I'm asking, would you consider increasing the amount that you give every week? And if you're not committed to a specific amount each week, if you simply take out your wallet and put what's there in the collection plate, would you consider discerning what would be the right amount for you to give every single week? That's the first thing I'm asking of the people in the pew. The second I'm asking, and this is less important, but if it's not too inconvenient, would you consider switching from putting money in the collection plate to giving online? Now, why is that important? Well, because if you set up the automatic payment online, we will get much more support from you. Because last year, when Hurricane Ida came and everyone evacuated the city, we lost tens of thousands of dollars. And in the summer, when everyone travels to see family and friends, the pews get more empty, and so does the collection plate. But if you have the automatic payments that pay automatically every week, then we don't take a loss during those times when you aren't able to come to the church. Now, switching to online is a little bit of a pain in the neck. It takes a couple of steps, and because of the security, you have to verify the credit card and those kind of things. So we've put the step-by-step instructions in the bulletin, and we're also ready to help you this week or next week to get it set up if you need help going online to either increase or get it set up. That's the 2 things I ask of the people in the pew. And the people online, you've been with us for over 2 years now. and we haven't charged a thing. Many subscriptions to YouTube channels cost money. Ours is absolutely free, and it will be as long as I'm pastor, because it's free to come through the doors of the church. It's free to come through this door as well. But we'd like to ask you to please consider contributing weekly, doing a weekly offertory for Holy Name of Jesus, if you consider yourself a part of our community. I want to ask everyone to please, after Mass, to please take a bulletin this week. It's a special edition that we worked very hard on. In this bulletin, we struggled to make sure to reveal to you everything that we spend and how we spend your money, because we owe that to you. We owe it to you to know how we're spending your money. So please take a bulletin so that you can learn how we do that, and you can see for yourself the struggle that we have with the annual operating expenses. I like to think of myself as your employee, and even though HR hired me without your consent, I'm glad you've kept me around. But now I'm here with my hat in my hand, and I'm asking my employer to please give us a raise. And I promise not to spend this raise on Netflix or po' boys. I have enough of those things. I'll spend the raise on serving you better, because that's all I ever wanted to do.